They have just absolutely slapped the face of Florida State and college football and the ACC by this decision. This decision will have a ripple effect. This decision is going to almost wipe out the...
All right, now we're going to talk about the college football playoff. The committee decided on who was going to be in the college football playoff. What was that?
About 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago? And there was a lot of controversy in it. So basically...
Wait a minute.
It was a week from last Sunday.
It was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
It'll be 2 weeks ago this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had its controversy, as every year does, but this
Was particularly
more than usual. You had the overall 1 seed was Michigan. Then 2 seed was Washington, 3 seed was Texas, and 4 seed was Alabama. And a lot of the debate was between the 4 and 5, which it usually is, but this time being Alabama, who had lost 1 game to Texas, getting in over an undefeated Florida State team who won the ACC championship game, didn't lose the game, but basically the only reason they didn't get in was because their starting quarterback got hurt.
Jordan Travis out for the year with
A
a
bad
leg injury.
It was tough.
That's basically the only reason why they didn't get in there. So, Zach, I know you have strong feelings about this, so we'll let you talk about it first. Do you think the community got it correct?
This is the question that you're asking me, and that's how we're going to start it.
Yep. Do you think the committee got it right?
We're going to set a
Timer.
yeah.
See how long this goes.
I'm gonna
condense himself.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to condense myself, and this is gonna be far too long.
But just kick it. So, okay. Do I think the committee got it right? No, I don't. Let me just start out by saying this. I don't think the committee should exist. There should not be a selection committee that determines the Division I college football playoffs. That shouldn't be a thing. There needs to be an objective system and standard that leads you to the playoffs. There should not be a group of random dudes who don't know anything about real football, who are, I don't even know who these guys are.
Athletic
directors, sports writers,
Yeah.
rich people, basically.
Yeah.
Rich people sitting in a room giving their opinion of who the 4 best teams are. Now, if you ask me right now, I'm not delusional. If you ask me right now if I personally think Alabama or Florida State is the better team, yeah, Alabama, in my personal opinion, is probably the better team between those 2 teams. But, I mean, how do we define the 4 best teams? Like, my complaint is not as much with the 4 teams they put in. Now, I think Florida State got egregiously snubbed. Like, mind you, Florida State should have been that 4 seed. But my complaint isn't as much with that as it's more so with the system. There is no system. That's my complaint. There's no system. It's just a bunch of random guys. How are these guys even picked? Who are these guys? How are they picked? Why are they picked? Why is there a committee that determines a playoff? Like, why is that a thing, you know? And why is there no objective standard or system to make the playoffs? Like, there's clearly no objective standard and system because a Power 5 team went completely undefeated and still didn't make it. So clearly there's no objective standard because if there was, you'd think that of all things would be it, you know? So there's no strategy or anything. Now let's go down a little bit, you know. So okay, Division I college football does this. Surely high school does the same thing, right? So let's go to high school. And we're from Ohio. I don't know how all other 49 states run, but I know how Ohio high school is run, right? So is there a group of sports writers and athletic directors and local rich people that sit in a room and determine who it's 16 now, who the 16 best teams are in each region in high school? No, there's not. There's not.
And even
Now,
when
what
it
is-
was 8 teams, they wouldn't.
There
do
still
that.
wasn't
Yeah,
that.
still
There
wasn't
never was. Even back like when my dad played, it was only 4 teams.
Yeah.
And there still wasn't that. There is not a committee who decides the playoffs in high school football. There is a mathematical formula. It's based on numbers, right?
It's based on the teams you play
Yeah.
and the divisions you play them.
Yes.
And then they average it out over like the amount of games that you play.
Yes. So it's like a mathematical formula based on like
Wins are
yes.
counted more, and then losses, depending on who you
Yes.
lost to, are counted accordingly.
Yeah, so that's how it's run in high school football, right? And that is fair. There is an objective standard. You have to win more than 3 games to make the playoffs. You know, like that is an objective standard in high school football. All right? Okay, well, that's high school. You know, D1 college does it.
Let's go to the NFL.
Let's go to the NFL. Yeah, like, let's go to the NFL. Like, surely if high school, Division I high school does that, then surely the gold standard of football does that, right? Is there a committee of people sitting around in the NFL who decides what the 7 best teams are in each division?
It's very clear and concise.
There's no committee. Now, see, how is the let's look and see how is the NFL playoffs run? Like, how do we see who makes the playoffs in the NFL? It is based on your record. It is solely based on how many games you win on the field. That is how you make the playoffs in the NFL. Imagine, let's go through this hypothetical scenario real quick, all right? Imagine the Bengals are a great example. Let's say the Bengals, for completely hypothetical, let's say the Bengals go 12 and, what would it be, 12 and 5. Let's say the Bengals go 12 and 5, but the later half of the season, Joe Burrow goes down for the entire year. But let's say they win out with Jake Browning, and they finish the year.
This season, if they went out, they'd be 11-6.
Okay, fine, we'll go this season. Yeah. So the Bengals go 11-6. Joe Burrow goes down. All right, but I mean the other team. We'll use like the Broncos as another example. You know So the Bengals are a team that go like 12 and 5, but they are Burrow-less. But they have won the games that they won without Burrow. They won without him. And now let's take the Broncos. The Broncos have a let's say the Broncos go like 9-8 for the sake of the discussion. They went 9-8. They have been on fire though recently. They have won the last like 4 or 5 straight games closing out the season, right?
Let's say they beat Kansas City too to like
this is just
the last game of the year.
I'm not even using this year. I'm just saying complete hypothetical though. So let's just say like hypothetically speaking, the 12 and 5 Bengals and the 9-8 Broncos are your like 7 seed teams, right? Just completely hypothetical, all right? Is there a committee that gets together and says, well, the Bengals went 12 and 5. Joe Burrow got hurt. He's down for the year. They still won games without him, though. But they don't have Joe Burrow. The Broncos won the last 5 straight games, and they are healthy.
I think
the Broncos went 9-8. You know, the Bengals went 12 and 5. They don't have Joe Burrow, though. We're gonna put the Broncos in at the 7 seed. I mean, that is unfathomable. Like, that is like sickening. Like, if the NFL did that, like, their ratings would drop. It'd be terrible. Like, you can't do that. That's not how it works. Like, there is a system. If you win, let's see. How do we make the playoffs in the NFL? Well, your top 4 teams, you win the division. Okay. Well, how do you win your division? You win games. It's determined by your on-field schedule and record. That is how you win. The team that has the most wins is the team that wins the division. Okay. So those are your top 4 seeds. Well, who gets the next 3? Who gets the bottom 3 seeds? Those are the teams that have the next best record. It's record. It's by wins. Okay, there's 7 teams. Well, that's an odd number. The first seed has a bye. How do we determine who the best team is that gets a bye? Well, gee, I don't know. Let's maybe the team with the best record. It is all by record. It's by what you do on the field. How many games you win. Now, here's another good example I have. If there was a committee last year, I guarantee you the Lions would have made the playoffs last year. If there was a committee, the Lions would have been in over the Buccaneers. Okay? The Lions, at that point in the season last year, were better than the Buccaneers. They were. But they didn't make the playoffs. Tough luck. Why? Because they didn't meet the objective standard. I mean, even though the Buccaneers were not good and they played in a bad division, they met the objective standard, therefore they made the playoffs. right or wrong, they made the playoffs because they hit the objective standard. Why is there no objective standard in college football? Like, if any other level of football got together with a committee to determine who made the playoffs, it'd be terrible. It's sickening. It's terrible that Division I college does it. So that's my complaint. There needs to be a system, all right? And with the 12-team format coming in next year, there will be more of an objective system. Well, because, your top 5 seeds are your Power 5 champions, and then it's like next best record pretty much. And then you'll have like the best group of 5 team, right? I mean, that in my mind is fair. Unfortunately, there will still be a committee. There should not be, but there will be. But it's going to be at least more of an objective state. Like, it's going to be like a team going into the season can say, what do I have to do to make the playoffs? Well, if I'm a Power 5 team, I got to win the conference. Even if I'm a Group of 5 team, you got to win the conference. I mean, and if you don't win the conference, well, I got to get 10 wins probably. That is at least more of an objective standard. So, but even with that, my opinion, there should not be a committee. They should just make that the standard. If you're a Power 5, win your conference, next best record, with 1 or 2 Group of 5 teams that have the best record. Like, that should just be an objective standard. You know what I'm saying? And there's not that. They just say, well, it's the 4 best teams. How do we determine that? It's just these guys sitting in a room giving their opinion. It's all opinion.
Most of them haven't played a down of football in their actual
And that's the issue. It's just these guys are rich. They don't know football. They don't know real football. They're just sitting in a room giving their opinion. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, actually. And so now I'll go to Florida State here. Like, Florida State, this was like the biggest snub that I think I've seen in my life. I think this is the biggest sports, well, I don't know about. This is the biggest football snub in 21 years that I have seen. This is bad. I mean, this is really bad. Like, Florida State did everything they can do. There's nothing more that you could have asked them to do. They won 13. Every game they played, they won. They can't do anything else. And they still looked at them and said, because of an unfortunate, unforeseen, not purposeful injury, we're not going to put you in the playoffs. I mean, that is absurd. I mean, that is just an absolute slap in the face. They are treating Florida State like a Group of 5 team. I mean, and that is just an absolute slap in the face to Florida State. Like, this is a team of, like, men that have worked their butt offs since last season to win every game. They have given everything they have into this game, and they have done it. And they still got slapped in the face because of an injury. I mean, that's absurd. It is absurd. It is sickening. Like, the committee, like, I am in love that the Florida Attorney General is, like, opening an investigation on this. I don't care if they win. I don't care if this. Anything. I don't care. I am just so happy this is happening. Like, the committee should not exist. It shouldn't be a thing. Every one of these cowards on this college football playoff committee ought to be, like, thrown in jail or sued. Like, this is a group of, like, 13, I don't know. This is a group of cowards who shied away from the fact that an SEC team shouldn't have made the playoffs. I am calling these, like, if we had a bigger, like, platform, I'm directly calling these guys out. This is a group of cowards. They refused to put an undefeated Power 5 conference champion in due to an injury because they didn't let their freaking balls hang. They wanted to have an SEC team in there. Like, oh, we gotta have an SEC team in. You know what? I mean, oh my gosh, we can't not have the SEC in. I mean, oh my gosh, we can't do this. Let your balls hang, bunch of cowards. I'm serious. Like, this is absurd. I mean, these guys should have a special place in a penitentiary reserved for them. What? This is a catastrophe to the entire sport of college football. This is an embarrassment to football, a slap in the face to Florida State, an embarrassment to the ACC. This is a mockery of college football. The playoff selection committee should not exist. It shouldn't be a thing. There should not be a committee. This is a group. They aren't even coaches.
Yeah, they can't put coaches because, like, obviously they're gonna fight.
Well, it's the same thing.
It's the same.
It's just
thing.
a bunch of rich guys that are fans of these teams and don't have a pair of testicles.
They can't do coaches because, like, if you had a bunch of coaches and then the one coach that their team's discussed about is out of the room or whatever, because you know how it's like if a team that they're ahead of is a part of the discussion, that person has to leave the room while they discuss about it.
Yeah,
like they would be livid if they're not allowed to discuss their team.
Yeah, I mean,
other people are.
Obviously, you can't have coaches, but I mean, you could have former coaches. You could have someone that knows football.
There are former coaches.
All right, whatever, but
Only like
one or two.
But it's just this is an issue. This is an issue, and I mean, as much as the 12-team format is thought to be solving this issue, it's still an issue. Like, a committee should not exist. It shouldn't be a thing. It really shouldn't. I mean, this is a, like, and they've tried to defend themselves by saying, well, it's the 4 best teams. It's not always the most deserving teams. It's the 4 best teams. What the heck does that mean? 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, the most deserving team should make the playoffs. If they deserve a spot in the playoffs. Like, what? Like, I mean, there's no way of objectifying 4 best teams. And they said this year, well, there is something in our bylaws that says injuries to vital players. I mean, really? Come on now. I mean, these guys can't defend it. These bunch of, like, absolute, like, crooks cannot defend themselves. These guys are cowards. They are crooks. This is ridiculous. I mean, they have just absolutely slapped the face of Florida State and college football and the ACC by this decision. This decision will have a ripple effect. This decision is going to almost wipe out the ACC doesn't matter. The ACC is just nothing now. I mean, they're really going to do this to them. Like, I mean, I realize Alabama won the SEC. That's great and all. Florida State didn't lose a game, though. Alabama lost head-to-head by 10 points at their place. Like, I mean, there shouldn't be a committee. There needs to be an objective system, like we just went through. High school has it, NFL has it. What's it based on? Wins and losses. Why is it not the same in college football? Like, they say it's based on what happens on the field. Well, guess what? You just left a team that didn't lose a single game on the field all year out of the playoffs. I mean, seriously? Like, this is, like, ridiculous. I mean, these guys are vile human beings. It's bad. Like, these guys are terrible people. I mean, it is just ridiculous. I am just absolutely irate by this decision. I mean, I was irate by the
moment it happened.
I was. And I knew that that's what they were going to do because these guys are idiots. And I knew that's what they were going to do. These guys are idiots. This committee is a committee of absolute morons and cowards and losers is what they are. They're losers. These guys are losers who don't deserve to have their money that they have, and they don't deserve to be on this platform that they have. These guys are morons. And shame on Division I NCAA for even letting this happen. There should never have been a committee. Like, who in their right mind sat there and said, you know what? College football needs a playoff. That's true. How are we going to do it? Well, let's get a group of guys together and give their opinions while drinking some beers on who they think the best teams are. I mean, seriously? We do that. I mean, are they going to let us pick the playoffs? No. Should they? No. I mean, yeah. I mean, but, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, this shouldn't be a thing. There needs to be a standard and objective system set. And that system should be based on the record. And I realize that people who are Alabama fans and people in general might say, well, if that's the case, then Liberty would have made the playoffs. Okay, well, with a 4-team format, it's an objective record based on Power 5 schools. I think that's fair. But with a 12-team format,
Liberty
well, you're dang right, they should make it.
Slaughtered if they'd gotten the college football.
That's what's going to happen with most Group of 5 teams starting next year.
But like, in a 12-team format, yeah, they should make it. They should make it. In a 12-team format, they should make the playoffs. What else can you do? Like, you can... I don't know. I mean, I just think that there shouldn't be a committee. There really shouldn't. These guys are snakes. I digress.
How long was that rant?
20 minutes.
All right. All right.
All right, Nick.
It's the same question. Do I think they got the 4 teams right?
Yep.
All right. If we're asking on who the 4 best teams,
Before you say anything, let him get
Yeah.
his stuff.
yeah.
You just talked for 20
Four.
minutes.
Well, I think
No,
I
no.
think everything I've said you both agree with.
Oh no, that was probably the best rant I've ever heard you
Yeah,
say. Like
yeah.
you actually brought very good points to the table, and made a lot of sense.
Yeah, but like, you know,
And then you.
well, I
Usually
never.
your rants are very biased, but that was
No.
Oh,
that was legit.
Yeah.
I will give you credit.
yeah, I could tell by the way you were engaging that you agreed with me as well.
Yeah.
So okay, but I never did answer your question. So I guess to answer your question straight up,
No.
do I think they got it right? No, I don't.
Okay. Do I think the committee got it right? I do think that they got it correct. In terms of the 4 best teams this season, I would go with the 4 teams that they picked. Because if you put Alabama, I understand it's not fair, because it's not fair. It's incredibly dumb. But if you put Alabama and Florida State on the field right now, Alabama would beat them by 4 touchdowns. Okay? That's just how it is. It's not like Alabama didn't do anything to warrant their spot. They beat the 2-time defending national champions by they have control of most of the game. It's not like they didn't do
Beat
anything.
them by 3. I mean, but
Yeah, but also it is. I agree with basically everything else that you said. Florida State did everything in their power to get a spot in the playoff, and they didn't because of an injury that they can't control. I think that the decision that they should have made was put Florida State in the playoff because, like you said, this decision is going to have a ripple effect for decades. Because they just told the ACC, you can play a Power 5 team, beat them by 21, a team that had the Heisman Trophy winner in the non-conference, beat them handily on a neutral site, go undefeated in your Power 5 conference, and we'll still leave you out over something you can't control.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
dumb.
Oh, yeah.
That's incredibly dumb. What I think should happen, I do think Alabama is a better team than Florida State. So if you're asking
I'm
me,
not disagreeing with that either.
Yeah.
But like, my complaint though is how do we quantify that?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How do we know
If
this
you're
is the best team?
gonna make a human element to it, you need to have like 5,000 people
Yeah.
voting.
Yeah.
So that way the outliers,
It's just like 12 guys.
yeah, 13 guys,
Yeah.
one guy's ranking of teams is going to completely skew
Yeah.
everyone else's.
There shouldn't be a human element
Yeah.
at all.
If there's thousands of people ranking, which I'd be okay with that, then the outliers don't heavily skew
Yeah.
Which that's
the
what they
rest
do
of the
with- That's
rankings.
what like March Madness.
Yeah.
They have a huge.
There's a huge, like,
Madness.
yeah.
But like even with
a
March
ton of
Madness,
people.
there's still an objective way to make March Madness win
Yeah.
your conference.
Yeah, you win your conference tournament, you make the tournament.
Exactly.
And then it's at-large bids.
Yes, exactly. So it's like even that makes sense. There's still a standard you
Yeah.
have to meet for that. You know?
13 people is not at all what you need to rank these teams.
You don't need any people.
Yeah. I think what they should do, they should have done this the whole time. They should have kept the BCS ranking system, but apply it to 4 teams.
Because that was like a
Yes.
mathematical system.
Yeah, that was a
that would have
mathematical
been
system.
that would have been high school football.
Yeah.
That would have been fine.
So that way, if teams get left out, you're like, okay, but the computer model said that these are the teams that deserve to be in. We can't do anything about it, right? And most of the time, it's correct. Most of the time, the BCS got it right.
That's exactly what they should have did. Actually, if they're gonna involve, if they're not gonna, if they want to have a playoff and they want to have a 4-team playoff, okay, whatever. But you have a mathematical
use the
system.
BCS
Don't use a
ranking
committee
system.
just to rank them.
So this says if the BCS did the system, it would be Michigan,
Washington, Florida State, and then Alabama, I think, would be the 4.
Yes, they had Alabama at 3 and Florida State at 4.
How would Texas not have gotten in and beaten them head-to-head, though?
That's what I'm saying. There would be problems with this, too.
Well, I mean, just like, how would that have worked? I mean, at least if it's a mathematical system, okay. But I'm just wondering, like, how would that have made sense?
Yeah, it wouldn't have made sense. We'd be having the same discussion, but with the BCS.
But at least there was like a mathematical formula.
Yes.
There's no I don't even know if I'm saying there should be a mathematical formula. I'm saying that there should just be a standard.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it should be just like the NFL, pretty much. I'm saying that you should win your conference based upon record, and then the next best record. So who makes it?
I will say this year was unprecedented in terms of the race to get these 4 spots. Like, in every other year, Florida State would have gotten in no problem.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use Ohio State as an example this year. Their one loss was to what ended up being the number 1 team in the country on the road by a touchdown, where they had the ball with the last drive of the game to potentially win it. And if they won that game, they're the number 1 team in the country. They're not even considered.
Yeah.
As for a spot, based on the results this year. In almost every other CFP year, they would have gotten at least heavy consideration, if not made the playoffs. Yeah. So that is how unprecedented this year has been for the college football playoff race. And this was the year that we needed a 12-team playoff. It's going to come 1 year too late. Yeah. Because I've been a big advocate that, okay, do 12 teams truly deserve a shot at competing for a national title? Most of the time, it's not more than 3 or 4.
It was 8 teams this year that very well could contend.
The 4 teams that got in, Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State, and probably Oregon too, all deserve a realistic shot to compete for a national title. And there's only 4 of those teams that are going to get it.
Yeah.
Because the playoffs are going to come 1 year too late.
Yeah.
So, it's not my point is, it's not like Alabama didn't do anything. Their one loss was to a team that also made the playoff.
No, they deserve a shot too.
Yes,
they do.
Absolutely.
But just not in this current scenario.
Yeah, in this scenario, they should have put Florida State in. I do think the decision was correct because I think Alabama would beat Florida State handily because of Jordan Travis. And Florida State, they had an opportunity to prove that they were still a legit national title contender without Jordan Travis.
Well, okay, see, here's my argument with that. Everybody kind of trashes on that game, but, let's keep in mind, though, that Louisville, 2 weeks prior, was the number 9 team in the nation. They beat them by 10.
Yeah, but Louisville also just lost to a really bad
Kentucky team.
I know, but 2 weeks prior, they were the number 9 team in the nation by their own rankings. And then Florida State beat them by 10 points with a third string, who their second string was coming back. 10 points is not that. I mean, that's a 2-score game.
They had their second stringer at Florida, and Florida's not. They're not a good team this year. They only won by 9. I'm not going to trash Florida State for that because it's a rivalry game. The year Ohio State won the national title in 2014, they only beat Michigan by 14.
Yeah.
And Michigan was terrible that year, too. They were 6-6. That was the year Brady Hook.
Rivalry games are always different.
Kentucky won 7 games this year. They were awful, but they beat Louisville because it was a rivalry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Rivalry games are always different.
Yeah,
so it's why was that such a heavy dependent in their minds to say we don't want them?
Yeah.
It's you guys ranked these guys at 9 2 weeks ago. 9. And they beat them by 10 with a third stringer. What?
Yeah.
What? And I know everybody in our group chat and stuff after that, I was advocating for this right now, and everybody in our group chat was shredding me. Oh, they barely beat. Look, they were the number 9 team in the nation 2 weeks prior by their own rankings, and they beat them by 10 with a third stringer.
Yes, but in this scenario, you have to look at what every other contender did. Michigan blanked Iowa. Washington beat a top 10 team in the country with a Heisman contender on a neutral site again. Texas beat Oklahoma State by 35.
Yeah.
And Alabama beat the 2-time defending national title, a team that had won 30-some games in a row on a neutral site. So Florida State, although they did beat a top 15 team in the country by 10 points on a neutral site, in this scenario, that is the least impressive win.
Yeah, but
I watched the entirety of that Florida State Louisville game. they're not better than Alabama. They're not better than Texas. They're not better than Michigan or Washington.
Yeah, I mean, like, I literally told you, like, last night when we had this discussion, I said, like, if you ask me personally, like, who are the 4 best teams right now, like what are the 4 best teams right now, my opinion would be the 4 they had.
Yes.
But
it's not fair to Florida State.
I'm not even talking about fairness, though. I'm just talking about what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
This was wrong. This was flat out wrong. Like, I mean, like, you can't do this. You can't do this.
They just told the ACC, your Power 5 camp can go undefeated and do everything they possibly can. They might not make the playoffs.
Yeah. Like,
because your conference isn't good enough. It's not like the SEC had a dominant year.
No!
This is one of their down years
in
terms of out-of-conference play. The SEC wasn't this inevitable force.
It was not.
Like they've been in a lot of years.
It really wasn't.
Yeah.
And, like, just, once again, like I said, do I think these are the 4 best teams right now? Maybe. But once again, that's an opinion. And how am I quantifying this? I don't know. I just think they look.
I just watched.
I just watched and I thought they looked like the best team right now. That's exactly what they're doing, and that is no way to decide a playoff.
They're doing that, but they're deciding the fate of hundreds and hundreds of young men's seasons. And they've
doing what we just
by
did
doing what
right
we're doing
now.
right now. They're deciding the fate of hundreds and hundreds of staffers, and coaches, and film gatherers, the hundreds and hundreds of hours,
players, fans, universities, like literally by doing what I just did, like what I just did, what I said.
Opinions.
Like, do I think Alabama? Like, do I think those are the 4 best teams right now? Yes, it's my opinion. And how did I determine this opinion? I just watched them play, and I thought they looked like the best 4 teams. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah,
that's not acceptable.
Another argument is that they wanted to avoid a repeat of what TCU happened. TCU literally won a playoff game. They beat Michigan.
Won. Yeah, they won.
That is the argument that I cannot stand. They literally beat Michigan.
Yeah.
They won that football game. They deserve to win that football game, too.
They did.
They played Georgia and got waxed to a historic degree.
Yeah, whatever. Georgia was just that good.
Yeah, Georgia.
Okay, so what? They still beat.
They beat a top 4 team in the country.
TCU deserved to be.
Absolutely, they deserve to be in. They proved it in the playoff game.
Yeah, so it's like and
avoiding another TCU. What? They literally won a playoff game. Like,
there's nothing to avoid.
Right.
Like I just think this was wrong.
Yeah.
Like when it comes down to it, this was wrong.
So
like, do I think they had the 4 best teams? Whatever. Sure, maybe. My opinion. Was it right or wrong? I don't know. It's my opinion. But this was wrong. This was objectively wrong.
Yeah. My answer to this question is: do I think the committee got it right in terms of getting the 4
in terms
teams,
of their whatever they do?
In terms of getting the 4 teams correct, I think that they did. But this decision will have a ripple effect for decades.
This was just wrong. I mean, this was just flat out wrong.
Yeah. I mean, this decision was made off of who can bring in the most money.
Oh, for sure. And that's wrong! Yeah. Like, I mean, it is.
That's
like,
what this decision was made off of.
The college football Division I national champion is decided off of money and opinion. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? If that was the case in the NFL, the Bengals would never make the playoffs. Never. I mean, seriously? We can't do this.
Yeah, like, I think they got it. Like, who I wanted to see in the college football playoffs is who they put in. That's who I wanted to see. Like, as a fan of college football, to watch the best games, those 2 games are going to be the best.
I mean, yeah, those will be the best games, but it's not right.
No,
it's just not.
I agree with everything that you said. I think for a team to literally do
everything in their
everything
the committee's asked of them.
Yeah,
play good teams in non-Power 5 conference.
Yeah.
Win all your games.
And people will say, "Oh, they didn't like the strength of schedule." You can only play the people that are on your schedule. You can't
control that.
You can't control your schedule. That's out of the players and coaches' control.
And dude,
and then for them to get taken out due to player got hurt, so you're not gonna stand much of a chance. We're just not even gonna let you have the chance. When you have guys like you think 2014 when Ohio State won, they
third string quarterback.
So I do think
and a one-loss team to Virginia Tech. Yeah. I mean, really?
I I do think that Florida State deserved to be in there. And if the committee wanted, the safest route the committee could have gone was to go Michigan, Washington, Florida State, and Texas. That would have been the safest way they could have gone.
That would have made the most sense.
Because Alabama
even in
fans
that
would be
order.
like, why
Shoot,
didn't you
man.
put us in there? Is because Texas won the head-to-head. That's really all you need to say. And you should have beaten Texas at your home field.
I think even
That's
in
all
that
you can
order, that's
say.
what they should have did. The three undefeateds and then the Texas.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can say. And move on from there. But
I mean, dude,
they
even
went
if
the route it is against the committee's will to not have an SEC team.
even if I was like
They
an avid
did not
Alabama fan, I'd still be saying this because this was wrong.
No, yeah, but like the committee cannot not have an SEC team in the culture.
And that
That
is just
like against their code as human beings.
and that's why
as
I'm
athletes.
calling them cowards.
No, I agree. But like, I think the biggest thing that is going to happen from this decision is what's going to happen in the next coming years. Because this whole thing's getting fixed. With the 12-team playoff, nobody's going to complain about the 13th seed not getting in. No one gives a crap.
Yeah.
You give everybody a fair shot. This whole committee bias thing goes out the window. It gets fixed after next year. It just sucks, like Nick said, that this was the year that they should have had a 12-team because there were 8 legitimate teams that could fight for a national championship.
Yeah.
But I think what's going to happen is you see teams like Florida State, who they're in the ACC, which in the Power 5 conferences this year was probably the worst.
This year, yes.
This year, yes.
They were. And like they beat, like you said, they beat LSU, who had the Heisman winner, and they beat them on neutral site by multiple scores. Yeah. And for them to do everything they possibly can and still not get in, if I'm Florida State, why am I still in the ACC? Everyone's moving conferences. Why might as well just join the SEC? That's really all that matters.
Or the Big Ten, one of the two.
The Big
The
Ten,
SEC or the Big Ten.
Big Ten, SEC is really all that matters. So the last time, like the only time ACC gets relevant is because Clemson. Like nobody cares about.
Because your name's not.
If
Clemson,
it was Clemson if Clemson was 13, no, they would probably gotten in. But because it was Florida State, they're like, no, they're not going to.
And Florida State's not even a bad brand.
No,
They're one of the premier,
Florida
upper
State,
echelon brands.
and
in
They
college
used to
football.
be one of the best.
Since the 2000s, they've had some dang good teams.
They've won they won a national title in '99. They won the national title with Jameis Winston. They've won 2 national championships in the last 25 years.
This is not a bad brand, but it's just all about who's bringing in the most money, and unfortunately, Alabama does.
I mean, me personally, as a fan, if wanting to see the best, I think even with Jordan Travis, I don't think Florida State was winning a game. No, even with Jordan Travis, should they still got? I don't think.
No, I don't think they would. I
thought Florida State was the worst team out of the 6 or 7. If we're going by team rankings, I would have them at Oregon level. I think that all 3 of them. I think Bama. I think Ohio State probably could beat them.
Georgia could beat them.
Could.
We'll find that out.
I mean,
so I think, but that's not a reason why you can't put the team in. You have to put the team in because they deserve to get in. I do know that. I mean, I don't know, but I feel
no one knows. That's the issue.
Yeah, but I feel like if Florida State was in there, I feel like they would probably lose. I wouldn't see them. But also, I mean, I thought TCU was going to lose, and they made it.
I thought TCU was going to get waxed by Michigan last year.
So from a fan wanting to watch the 2 best games possible, they got it right. Did they get it right off of who were the 4 most deserving teams? No, but the 4 best teams they got right. And is it unfortunate for Florida State? Yes, it's completely unfair. It sucks. It is it's completely against what college football is, and I feel very bad for them because the players, like you said, Zach, this has been going on since last offseason. They started this vision
in January,
and going on. They're like, we can make the college football playoff, and they did everything they possibly could. They got left out because of greed and pride, basically,
and an injury. I mean,
and so I think that
this was wrong.
I think I think it sucks, but I think when I gave my prediction to people, and the 4 that I said were the 4 that they put.
I thought.
So I thought that they were going to shaft Florida State.
Well, I mean that's what I thought too, just because I know the committee and they're a bunch of a foul word. And I mean even with the 12-team format coming in, Yes, it does.
The 12th team, you think about it, the only thing Florida State loses is a first-round bye.
Right.
That's all they lose.
Yeah.
They would have played Liberty, smacked them, and then they would have moved on to play Bama, lost to Bama, and we wouldn't be talking about
it
this.
wouldn't matter.
But I mean, it would
But they
be
would have
fair,
had-
and it
but
would
they
make
would have-
sense.
But they would have had a chance.
It would make sense, and it's fair. They got their shot, and it's
But
like
you don't
I
have
mean,
the 12 teams, so
I mean, even with the 12-team format coming in, like the whole thing with the committee still does scare me.
No, I agree.
Because there shouldn't be just abolish the committee and go off of the records.
But I also think like
mean,
one thing, how like Nick
11
said,
best records, and then a group of 5 champion with the best record.
Yeah.
Like, why is that so hard?
No, I understand. I think the big thing was, like Nick pointed it out, like Alabama beat Georgia, who had won 2 straight national championships and hadn't lost a game in 2 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
About
That win means more than any win Florida State had all year.
any other team had
Yeah,
in the country.
like that was the
all
biggest win. So you have so you say, okay, they just had the biggest win of the year and the biggest stage of the year at that time.
year in the best conference.
Yeah, in the quote unquote best conference, which I also agree. The SEC was very top heavy this year. It was not as good as everybody said it was. But then you also have Texas beat them head to head
At their place.
By
at their place
10.
by 10. So you have to put Texas in. Bama has probably the biggest win on the year, but Texas beat Bama, so you have to put both of those in. But you also have a team who has not lost a game, and has also won their conference and beat an SEC team week 1. What other win do they have? They beat Clemson. Who else is like a big win for them?
They beat Louisville. Let me look at their schedule.
So
Their strength of schedule was like 55th. Their strength of schedule was not good.
But like I said,
It's also not their fault, though.
you can't.
But it was still a Power 5
no,
school.
yes, I agree. Like you said, like I said, you can't fault them for their schedule because that's the same thing with Liberty. Liberty had the 133rd best schedule.
It's not their fault.
but
They did what they had to do. They won the game.
Yeah, you have to play the guys in front of you. Do I think that they need to play better teams? Absolutely. But they need to play. You have to play. You can't just be, I'm not going to play this year just because our schedule sucks. We're not going to get respected if we win.
I mean,
Like, you
honestly,
can't do that.
Florida State, they might as well not even played.
Yeah, no.
I mean, no, seriously, college football shouldn't even have a season.
Yeah, well,
I think what college football ought to do is they ought to just get this retarded. You have to edit it. They ought to just get these bunch of morons together at the beginning of the season and say, well, who do we think the 4 best teams are going to be this year? Well, it's going to be Michigan, it's going to be Washington, it's going to be Texas, and it's going to be Alabama. All right. Well, we think those are the 4 best teams. They probably are. Well, I guess we'll just have them play the playoffs. That's that. They might as well not even play the regular season because the regular season doesn't matter. Florida State won every game. Didn't matter.
Yeah,
Might as well not even play
The
it then.
message for college football and why it's been so special over the years is that every game matters.
Evidently not.
And a lot of games, a lot of times you lose a game, your national title hopes are out
Yeah,
the window.
like Ohio State, they lost the last game of their season and they were
Not even considered.
Yeah.
Against the number 1
Not
team in the
even
country,
considered.
not even considered.
I mean, it is what it is.
Fair
You
enough.
got to win your game.
And
You
evidently-
have to win what's in front of you.
yeah, evidently, every game doesn't matter because you can win every game and beat a top 15 team with the Heisman winner on a neutral site by 21 and not even get a chance to compete for a national title.
And man, I saw some of these analysts and stuff in the beginning of the season. They had these 4 teams. This is the 4 teams they had.
I
at the
think
beginning.
Desmond Howard had these 4 teams.
he had 3 of the 4.
He's an idiot.
So it's like,
I think he had Georgia instead of Alabama.
but it's like, okay, but either way, it's like, dude, okay, we might as well cut the crap and do this at the beginning of the season then, because the regular season don't matter, obviously, because I mean, you have an undefeated Power 5 conference champion who doesn't even have a shot to play in the
I just
championship.
think
I mean, it don't matter.
everything is leading towards there being 2 or 3 conferences. Like Power 5 conferences, Group 5 conferences, they're all going to be the same. And it's just going to basically be like an East and a West. Because if I'm any team in the ACC, like you're saying, what incentive do I have to play? Like, I can do everything I can. I can schedule 3 SEC opponents. I can beat all of them. I'm still probably not going to get recognized.
Because of technicality.
Yeah, and because we're in the ACC, who was the worst Group of Five class this year, and so because if we're being honest, the good teams in the ACC is Clemson, but they've dropped off. You have Notre Dame, who was good, but they lost 2
They're
or
not
3
even in the
games.
ACC.
Oh, they're independent. That's right. They're in the ACC basketball. And then you have
Florida
Duke.
State,
You have
Duke.
Duke, who won a couple of good games.
They're not ranked either.
Yeah. So, like, the ACC was bad this year, and it has been bad for the last couple of years. But you still cannot, like I said, you cannot fault Florida State for playing the people that they had on their schedule.
Set the schedule. They beat who was in front of them. That's all you can ask.
And they beat an SEC team. I mean, I know
They
that
beat two SEC teams.
Yeah.
They beat LSU and Florida.
If this committee's got their prized possession, the SEC, well, they beat two of them.
It's not like the SEC was like so dominant out of conference and
They
like
weren't. They were not.
they won. It's not like they were head and shoulders above every other conference. in college
They
football.
really
They
weren't.
weren't.
No, they weren't. Yeah, so, I mean, I think, did the committee get it right? Yes. Is it fair? No. Should Florida State be in? Yes. But the four best teams got in.
Yeah, I mean,
But I think the ramifications of that decision
Gonna be massive.
is going to be massive, and I do not think they thought that through.
they didn't think it through at all. And yeah, I mean, once again, it just goes back to my best team point. There's no way of determining this.
Yes, no, I agree. I think if you do have a mathematical standard, then the criticism you can't really blame it.
I don't even think it has to be a number system. I think you can just
Well,
very easily
but,
go
I
off
mean,
of the dang record.
Yeah, the only problem is we're going to talk about this year, and then next year everything's going to be fixed.
And I mean,
Should be.
No, I mean,
you're at least giving everybody a chance.
No, yeah, truly a 12-team format, like 12 teams is, I feel, a solid enough number of teams
And
to make the
even though-
playoffs. However, the committee is still a thing.
I know,
like
but
12 teams with no committee is what they need to do.
But here's the thing: even though there is a committee in 12 teams, the worst the committee can do is say, "Oh, we're not going to give this person a first round bye. We're going to make them play basically a play-in game."
Yeah,
against
or
a bad
even they're
group
like,
of
we're
five.
gonna give this 9-3 team a shot instead of this 9-3
Yeah.
team, and they're
Like-
like, oh, why this
like
9-3 team
basically
get it over this
what they
one?
would
Win your
what they
games.
would be doing this
Yeah.
year is they'd be like, okay, we don't think Florida State's one of the four best teams. So
Yeah,
you're gonna,
I know,
So
I
you're going to
know.
play Liberty first round, beat them by 3 touchdowns, and move on.
Yeah, no.
So,
I know.
That doesn't really mean it much. But if people want to argue about who the 12th best team is, go ahead. I don't care.
Right.
They're not gonna win a national
Like if
championship
Ohio,
anyway.
if Ohio State doesn't make the playoff, which I mean, there's no way they should ever
Yeah.
miss the playoff in a 12 team. But if there's a year where they do miss the playoff and we're like, oh, they should have gotten over Ole Miss.
if they
for
are-
example,
I don't care.
it's like
If they aren't
win your
good,
games.
I mean, if you aren't good enough to be in the top 12, then you don't
deserve to
deserve
compete for
to
national
make the
title.
Which I
playoffs. Come on.
also like the 12th team because it does.
Like you're gonna get 9-3 teams in there. If you
for
can't
sure.
go 9-3, if you can't win 9 games, then you shouldn't make the playoffs.
The one thing the 12th team does is it does relieve some of the pressure off because for Ohio State, for example, had a great season. They lost to Michigan. Season's basically over. I mean, everyone's playing in the Cotton Bowl. Thank God. But majority of teams would be like, I'm just not going to play. But now you have one season. You still have something to play for.
Yeah.
Your season's not over. You have stuff to play for.
Yeah.
So like Ohio State, yes, you lose to Michigan.
they beat it.
That obviously sucks.
Yeah.
You get in as the 6th seed. You play your way back. You very well could see yourself in the top 4 by the end of the thing, and you just say that was just a one-off game,
Yeah, which I mean, yeah, I agree.
But then me and Zach talked about this, with rivalry week being such a big thing, more with the Big Ten and the game. So the Big Ten, they're getting rid of the divisions.
Yeah, it's not the game.
So the game will be the game, and then it'll be the Big Ten championship of the game, and then it very well could be the Big Ten, the game in the college football playoffs shortly after.
There will be times where you will see Ohio State play Michigan 2, maybe 3 times a season.
which I think makes rivalry week a lot.
It makes
less
college
special.
football in general a lot less special.
I think
But
that.
I love the 12-team playoff.
Oh, the
That's
12-team
that's
playoff
just
is an
one of the-
absolute necessity.
That's just one of the consequences of it. You
I
can't not do that.
I think the thing that is really kind of screwing the pooch with that is just the Big Ten
divisions.
getting rid of divisions. I think that's stupid.
No, it's not.
Well, I think if they did,
Why?
I think if they
Why?
did the divisions,
Why
just
is it not
put
stupid?
good teams in the West? Because you're
But
basically
you can't control what
I know.
good teams
But
play at. Historically,
if you look at the
Just
player
put
teams
put USC and UCLA in the West. Then you won't get Iowa in the championship. You'll get USC.
This year it's doing Iowa in the championship.
But I think that's stupid because I don't want to watch Ohio State, Michigan 3 times a year because it makes it so much less special.
That The Big Ten West
Because the West,
went 0-10 in conference championship games since they existed.
Yeah.
Their average margin of defeat was by like 20.
But do you realize? Do you realize?
It's been decent. It's been Wisconsin, and they get smoked every time they make it to the Big Ten.
Outside of one game in 2018 against Ohio State.
But do you realize how much less like special and just in general that makes Ohio State Michigan?
I'm fully aware.
We will see Ohio State Michigan Week 15 rivalry week, and then the very next week in the conference championship.
Yeah.
We will. That's what's going to happen. Why?
Which, I mean, it sucks.
I mean, at that point, why are you? Yeah.
So I don't know, because I mean, like the SEC, like you it usually happens where like Georgia will play Bama, and then Georgia will play Bama immediately after the college football playoff. But then you have like a month between. It's not as much of a turnover.
It's going to be a back-to-back It's going to be a 2-week back-to-back game.
Yeah. So just
And
it's interesting.
College football, like the entire landscape of college football, is changing so much. Like,
I will say though, like I do agree, like college football is changing, and there's a lot of negatives surrounding college football. But the product on the field, I loved this year in college football. This was probably this was the most fun I've had watching college football, like in a long time. Like I was glued into like every game. Like I was paying attention to a lot of games. So yes, like a lot of negatives are surrounding college football right now, but I think the product on the field is still high quality.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just like the entire landscape of changing. Like college football is a minor league now.
No, yeah.
You got NIL, which I think NIL is a good thing because I think these players deserve to be paid. However, the downside with NIL is, like we said,
it's like free agency.
It is, but it gets worse because in free agency, these guys sign multi-year deals. In NIL, you're going to have guys playing for a different team every year, and that, in one thing, is stupid. And on the second thing, it makes it so difficult for teams that are not named Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama to build a program. Because if you're a coach and you say one bad thing to one of your players, he's gone. If he ain't playing, he's gone. Like, how are you supposed to build a program with these guys leaving every year? You know, like unless your name and your program's already established. So that's my only complaint with NIL. Now, the second thing that I will say with college football, the conference changes. Not a huge fan. I don't like these just mega conference. I mean, like you said, at some point we very well could see East and West. I'm not a big fan. Like, it used to be there are 10 conferences, and each conference has at least a couple of good teams, you know? Like the Big Ten is basically a group of 5 conference now. Like, they're like, well, because Texas and Oklahoma left. Without
the Big 12?
I meant the Big 12.
Okay,
yeah. I meant the Big 12. Without Texas and Oklahoma, the Big 12 is a group of 5 conference. Look at the teams.
I don't know about that, but there's
UC, Houston, Oklahoma State, Kansas. I mean, really. I mean, you know, so like the Big 12 is like a group of 5 conference now. The Big 10 has teams in Los Angeles playing in it. The SEC, I mean,
they haven't changed a whole lot.
Whatever. No, but I mean, it's just like what, you know, like what is so wrong with having 10 regional conferences? And I'll tell you one other thing. The Pac-12 being disbanded, that's a shame. Yeah, that really is a shame. And because this year the Pac-12 was good this year, number one, and number two, the whole reason they're disbanding is because of money. It's like you said with the whole playoff. It's greed. College football is so money and greedy driven. Like the Pac-12, the whole reason they're disbanding is because of freaking TV deals. Like, seriously, come on now. Like, and here's my other thing. Like, this is the system that I've always proposed. Like, and I'm just, well, okay, I got off topic. Those are the two like main things that I see that's an issue with college football. I think with NIL, and I think you had a good point last night when you said, I think that players should be allowed to freely transfer one time. And then after that, if they transfer, they lose some form of eligibility.
Or they have to sit out a year.
Yes, because I don't think guys should bounce to 4 different schools. And I also don't think there should be guys that are 24, 25, 26 years old playing 6 or 7 years of college football.
The reason why is because of COVID.
I know, but
that should
start to take
and that will, but that's been the trend of the past couple of years, and that's just ridiculous because you have these NFL-aged guys playing 19-year-olds. Really? But anyways, though, so I think that's one way you address the NIL issues. I think if you address it that way, that's fair. The conferences, stop being so greedy. Leave it at 10. Leave it alone. 10 regional conferences. That's totally fine. And then here's just a real quick mention. And I know that you guys and a lot of the people watching are going to have a really big stink with this. But just hear me out and just think about it for a second, all right? The college football playoffs. My proposal a couple years ago was a 12-team format. There are 10 conferences. 12 teams make the playoffs. If you win your conference, you get in. There are 10 conferences, Power 5. There are 5 Power 5 and 5 Group of 5. But just hear me out. Just hear me out. If you win your conference, you automatically get in. And then the number 11 and the number 12 teams are the next best records. And, okay, that's not enough of, because you're leaving out Ohio State and Oregon and Georgia, teams like that. Okay, so then maybe, I don't know, what if you go to 16 teams? I don't know.
That's you're basically playing an NFL season at that point.
So what? High school plays 16 games, Nick, not including scrimmages in Ohio. So what? And the other thing is that other levels of college football have that 16 or more.
I know, FCS.
Yeah. So what's so wrong with doing that? Because you have. So let's just say you have 16 teams, right? And then the 10 of those 16 are your conference champions. Because I feel as though that there should be an objective standard, and I think that every team in college football should at least have a chance to meet that objective standard. Like in college basketball, every team in the nation in college basketball, Division I, has a chance to meet that standard by winning their conference. You know what I'm saying? So if you have 16 teams, there are 10 conferences. If you are you win your conference, you get in, and then the next 6 teams are the next best records. That would include Ohio State and Georgia and Oregon and Missouri and those Tennessee, maybe not this year, but just in general, those teams that have the next best record. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that we'll take the MAC for example. I know that they don't. Miami,
that means Miami, Ohio.
Miami of Ohio won the MAC. I know they're not going to win the national championship, but wouldn't it be really cool? And wouldn't it be if they made the playoffs? You know what I'm saying? And shoot, who knows? They might have an upset. We see it all the time in college basketball. It's a different sport. I understand that, but who's to say it's not possible? Miami of Ohio might knock off someone in the first round. And I think that's an easy objective standard. There are 10 conferences. If you win your conference, you get in, and then it's the 6 next best records. And you have underdog teams like Miami of Ohio that have a shot, that at least make it. Because imagine how cool that would be for the school and just everybody. Toledo, this is a nobody school. We've been terrible, but hey, we made the playoffs. That's pretty cool.
Miami of Ohio will never beat a Power 5 team in a game that actually matters.
Probably not, but at least they make the playoffs, right?
It's not like college. It's not like basketball where it's 5-on-5 and one dominant performance by one player can change the outcome of the game. It's 11-on-11. There's 53-man rosters. The talent disparity I'll use Florida State. The talent disparity from Florida State and Miami of Ohio in football is so significantly different than the talent disparity of them in basketball that it wouldn't even be a contest.
Which I think they're kind of doing that, with the 12 team.
I think every team is going to have a shot.
More than likely, if you win your conference championship, you're going to be in. And then all you have to do is just be the best group of 5 teams and win your conference championship.
Yeah.
And you're getting in.
So
that way you don't have teams like Texas and Ohio State missing the playoffs because Miami of Ohio won the MAC.
Right.
But that's why I said if you go to 16 team, then you won't have that.
Yeah.
And other levels of college football do 16. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that would be like a gold, like that would, like, in my like eyes, that would be like an ideal thing, 16 teams, because every other level of college football has 16 or more. So you do 16 teams, you do 10 of those 16 won their conference, so you have these underdog teams that at least they made the playoffs, and then you have those next 6 teams, just like you will in the 12-team format,
right?
And I know people are going to yell at me and say, well, none of those Group of 5 teams deserve to make it because they have no shot. Well, okay. You know what? They might not have a shot, but at least they made it, At least they made the playoffs. And those other teams that you just said would not get left out in a 16-team format still. They would still make it. You know what I'm saying? And there's no reason they can't do it because, like you said, it's an NFL schedule. High school teams play 16 games. And every other level.
They play 15.
No, they play 16. If you
16?
If you go to the state championship in high school football, you play 16 games in Ohio. That's high school.
Yeah, but college football, you're going to be playing minimum. If you win your conference, you're going to be playing minimum 13 games just off rip.
Okay.
Like those 2-3 games difference between high school and college, it's massive.
I don't care. I don't think that whole NFL schedule was really much of it because every other level of college football does it too. And I mean, shoot, dude, if you want to go to the NFL, you better get used to playing 20 games a year. I don't know. I know that you guys don't agree with that because you don't think a team like San Diego State or something should make the playoffs, and I understand that. But if you just think about it for a second, like just think about how cool it would be for that school to just to say, hey, we made the playoffs. That's pretty cool. We had a heck of a year. We went undefeated. We won our conference. We made the playoffs. That's pretty dang cool. And yeah, we realize we don't stand a chance against Alabama, but hey. At least we're on the field here. We earned a spot to be on the field with them, And those other teams that, like you were saying, would be left out. If you do 16 teams, they won't be left out. It's about the same number from a 12 team. Like that seeding from 6 to 11 is really going to be about the same seeding as it would be from 11 to 16.
Yeah, but also you have to factor in that these teams and programs will be traveling across the country, like facilities and the players and the staffers and all that. I get, like with the NFL, they're NFL teams. They're billion-dollar organizations. Like they can pay to transport all these people. A team like Miami of Ohio doesn't have the money to be paying these players to play X amount of more games across the country.
Well, I don't know if
I just don't know if it's financially feasible for a lot of these smaller schools.
Well, I think it definitely would be because, I mean, using Miami.
If you make the playoffs,
a school of rich kids, I don't. But no, I think financially it would be perfectly feasible, dude. These universities are rich as crap. Number one, and number two, it's already happening. USC is flying from Southern California to Columbus.
Yeah, but that's USC though. I'm talking about like the smaller schools that don't have that kind of funding.
They have funding still. They're still a Division I university.
Not to the extent that you think that they do.
They got money at these schools. Don't kid yourself. We give.
I know they have money,
we give it to them.
But even if what they would have to do is.
What are you talking about? Like they fly them to so like Miami is matched up with like USC. They fly them out to Los Angeles for a week to play a game.
That's
what are you saying?
I'm saying that would cost a lot of money that they don't. They would have to take funding out of other programs.
They do it for bowl games.
Well, doesn't those bowl games provide them with a certain amount of money for expenses and whatnot?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, but but still, these schools are not dude. These schools and they can afford that. They can afford that.
If you did every single team that won their conference, it would be Liberty, Washington, Texas, Miami of Ohio, Boise State, SMU, Alabama, Troy, Florida A&M, Florida State, Michigan.
Okay.
Florida A&M is not paying enough money to get to.
No chance.
What conference did they win?
SWAC, I think it is.
What's the SWAC?
Southwest Athletic Conference.
Is that a power? Is that a Division I?
Yeah, it's a bunch of HBCUs.
That's Division I?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It is.
Did you list 10 or 11 schools?
11.
They don't. Yeah, I mean.
I don't know about that.
Well, Troy doesn't make any money.
It's a college. They have enough money to fly a team out for 1 week. Like,
but like the bowls do pay.
what
I know
was that one?
because I know
What is that one? I've never heard of that conference.
SWAC. That's where what's
Jackson State was.
Yeah, that's where Jackson State was.
I thought that was FCS.
No.
I don't know. I say you do
like
normal
Liberty,
10 bowls,
Liberty,
like Power 5 and Group of 5.
like they're going to the Fiesta Bowl. The Fiesta Bowl is paying for them to be there because it's free advertisement for the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, do you guys seriously think they don't have enough money to fly a team out to play one game?
I don't know.
Like, seriously?
I don't know how much money this goes.
Yeah, I don't
They
think
have
one
enough
thing.
money to do.
Here's one thing. So for Liberty, for example, so we're going to the Fiesta Bowl to play Oregon. If we embarrass ourselves and we get absolutely rocked, what incentive do fans have to put us back into the national spotlight?
Fans, what do you mean?
Like like committee? I know you hate the committee.
There shouldn't be a committee. In my thing, there's
But
not a committee.
what incentive do they have to put a team like? Because the reason that Tulane gets a lot of credit that they get to is because they went to a bowl game, they beat USC, that put them on the map. Now Liberty, they go play Oregon, lose like 40-7 or something like that. What incentive do people have to say, oh, a one-loss Tulane team should not go in over a 13-0 Liberty team that doesn't play anybody? You know, so they would rather put the Tulane team in that has already beaten teams. So then, like, it's a better game, which goes to the same thing, like who deserves it more.
I mean, yeah, if you're appealing to people's, like, oh, I just want to see the better game. Yeah, I mean, but like,
Yeah, but, like,
all I'm saying is that I feel like.
But also,
do
do you want to have a 16-team playoff where majority of the first round you know who's going to win? Like, you know who's going to win majority of the first round by at least 3 scores. Like, you know.
But like that would be like
if Troy
would be a
goes against
really easy system.
If Troy goes against Ohio State, I'm betting the over on Ohio State.
Yeah,
like,
Ohio State in a game that matters will beat them 42-3 or something.
Like,
So it's just an extra game for the other
Injuries and a bunch of other stuff to happen.
Yeah.
okay, but like, it's just there's at least there's an objective standard, and at least at least every team in college football knows what they have.
It
to
also gets rid of the point of scheduling non-conference at all. Scheduling tough
I
non-conference.
do think
games.
that winning your conference should matter more than
I do think it should too.
I think it should, and I think with the 12 team it will. And I think that's.
I'm not
perfectly fine with.
I'm not necessarily like saying that's what needs to happen. I'm just saying that I don't think there'd be anything wrong with that, and I think that would be a very like objective way. We'll see how I also think the 12 team could be a very objective way as long as we take out the committee, like, you know.
Hopefully the 12 team fixes everything.
I hope.
See what happens. But now let's actually do some predictions. Who do we think are going to win? We'll do the New Year's Six Bowls as a whole.
Dude, we need to do the national championship
Yeah.
too.
All right, we'll do the New Year's Six Bowls. Starting off with which one is the first one? Looks like
The
Ohio
Cotton
State.
Bowl is
the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Ohio State and Mizzou.
I'll take Ohio State in this one. It's gonna be a good game though.
Yeah.
Devin Brown's gonna be the quarterback.
I think that Ohio State will win this game. I think it's going to be a really good game, though. This is the first time Missouri's been in a New Year's Six Bowl in their history. If Ohio State's a bunch of their players have already announced they're coming back. If they didn't, I would have taken Missouri in this game. But I think Ohio State has enough talent to get
Ohio State, because a lot of their players are coming back, and it sounds like a lot of them want to win this game. I think they're going to, but I think it's going to be a really good game. Then we got the Peach Bowl, Ole Miss and Penn State, which is where I wanted Liberty to go, but it didn't happen.
I'll be taking Ole Miss here.
I'll take Ole Miss too. I don't think Penn State has the offensive firepower to keep
No,
up.
I think Penn State is overrated every year.
They are. I'll also go Ole Miss, because Jackson Darts been doing really well. And I think they have a better team. Now we got the Orange Bowl, Georgia, Florida State.
No, I think Georgia's going to beat the brakes.
As much as I want Florida State to win, just to prove the point even more, I'll take Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's going to destroy them. Fiesta Bowl, Liberty and Oregon.
Oregon's going to... Sorry, Evan, but Oregon's going to destroy Liberty.
Yeah, I'll take Oregon on this one as well.
I'm going to go with Liberty. No, just kidding. I'm going to go with Oregon. I just hope that Liberty at least makes it, like, that we just put up points. If Liberty loses 42 to, like, 27, I would be fine with that. Or lose, like, 42-21. Like, if we put up points, I'll be fine. I just don't want to get embarrassed. I am not expecting to win that game at all. But, all right. Was that all
Bowls.
Now we got the college football playoffs. Starting off with the Rose Bowl, Michigan, Alabama.
I think we got to go a little bit in depth on our predictions too.
Yeah, I give
These games matter.
reasons why.
I think you're going to see Alabama win this game. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a lot of reasoning. I mean, Alabama just beat Georgia. I mean, Alabama's on fire right now. They're playing like a very good team.
That's my phone.
I don't think Michigan is gonna. I don't think they're going to be able to compete with Alabama right now. And I also don't think Michigan is going to be able to cheat in this game. So I think we'll see Alabama win this one.
The thing in this game is I don't know who on Michigan is going to generate any offense. Like, who's their best receiving threat? Roman Wilson. And Kool-Aid McKinstry's not getting cooked by Roman Wilson. That's not happening.
And the rest of their offense is Blake Corum.
Yeah, I think that Alabama has the defensive intensity to shut down Blake Corum and Roman Wilson.
I mean, shoot, Ohio State did a pretty good job with it, honestly.
I didn't do too bad.
I mean, Michigan's got the best O-line football, but that Zach Zinter injury is going to really hurt them. Nick Saban's the best head coach in college football. This has been his most impressive coaching job, I think, in a long time. And people are going to say, oh, who on Alabama is going to generate any sort of offense against Michigan's defense? And that's a fair point. But I trust Jalen Milroe with his legs more than I trust J.J. McCarthy to do anything.
J.J. McCarthy is genuinely
I don't think J.J. McCarthy is good at all.
He is so overrated.
J.J. McCarthy is a Haynes supermodel.
You can call me a biased Ohio State fan. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is good at all. All he does is throw check down to his tight ends.
Yeah, I saw him make, against Ohio State,
good throw.
I saw him make 2 throws that I was like, okay, those were impressive. The rest of it, I could probably make the same throw.
And one of them should have been a pick.
J.J. McCarthy is straight up garbage. All he is a looker. All he is.
Yeah,
he's a good-looking pretty boy that all the girls love.
I think
and
he's
he
going to be
sucks
the next
at
Zach Wilson. I think he's going to go do his pro day, wow some people, get drafted way too high, and then be a boss.
And he is just a pretty boy. All the girls love him because, oh my gosh, he's so attractive. He sucks. J.J. McCarthy is not a good football
He's what Cam Newton would like to call a game manager.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't trust J.J. McCarthy against Nick Saban and Alabama's defense. I think the Crimson Tide are on a roll. I think they will beat Michigan.
No pun intended.
Yeah. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
I think the Crimson Tide are firing on all cylinders. I'm going to take Alabama in this game.
This will be the first time and probably only time I will root for Alabama.
Yeah,
I want them to beat the brakes.
I
hope it's 100-0. I hope it is embarrassing.
If you look at Jim Harbaugh's track record, he doesn't win playoff games.
He cheats in the regular season and wins those, though.
Yeah, he doesn't win playoff games. He doesn't win bowl games, and that's not changing this time. Bama's going to beat them. You guys saw the reaction that Michigan had when they had.
They were scared.
They were so scared.
Don't want to play that.
That's a bad look.
Yeah, they were like,
that's bad.
They were like,
what type of competitors are you guys?
Yeah.
You don't want to play the best team?
They were scared.
What are you talking
so they're
about?
already going in scared.
They're already going in like, oh boy, what's going to happen?
Bama has just came off the biggest win of this season. They're hot right now.
It's going to be bad.
And like you said, this is Nick Saban's probably one of his most impressive coaching years.
I hope it's embarrassing.
Jalen Milroe's been playing at a Heisman level the last half of the season. And, I mean, it's Bama, dude. They have guys on offense and defense that are just freak athletes. And, I think, like you said, Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to absolutely lock down Roman Wilson. I don't even think Roman Wilson's very good. He just got lucky against Ohio State. And then he said all that other crap about Marv. Whatever. Marv's better than you will ever be already.
And he had a dream to be.
Yeah. And, they're very one-dimensional. If they can't get the running game going, they can't do anything. And that's the reason why they win a lot of their games is because they go against the running game. Even against Iowa. They struggled against Iowa. Yeah. I mean, Iowa's a great defense, don't get me wrong. But they struggled against Iowa. If you watch that game, they did not play well against Iowa. So they're coming off of a win nonetheless.
I do think that they were, kind of holding back.
No, I'm sure they were.
Knew that all you have to do is score 1 point to beat them.
I'm sure they were. But I legitimately think Bama can beat them by 2 or 3.
I don't think it will be a blowout. I think it will be a close game.
I think it will be a close game.
Hope
but I think Bama will.
I do think Alabama will win.
I hope it is a total blowout. I mean, I hope it's ugly. I hope it is bad.
That would be great.
I mean, these guys.
And then we're gonna have serious questions about Jim Harbaugh's job because he's basically
We're not
basically.
going to have questions about Jim Harbaugh's job.
He cheats to win.
It's gonna be how everyone perceives Ryan Day and James Franklin. They win in the regular season, but they don't win in the playoffs. But you can't fire them because you can't get anybody.
The difference is Jim Harbaugh's beating Ryan Day and James Franklin head
No,
to head.
yes,
So.
but also
when they started,
Jim Harbaugh legitimately could go to the NFL,
Yeah, he could.
and I would.
We're going to see what the NCAA does to Michigan this offseason, and if they drop the hammer on them, then Harbaugh's out of there.
Yeah,
as they should. They should.
they'll give him a slap in the wrist, though.
Well, they did already, but it should be an actual punishment.
But
Yeah,
roll tide.
I think, this is the first time that I will.
Shout out to
You know what?
Seth.
I can't say
That's
that.
the only time.
I can't even say
saying
that.
that.
I can't. I'm wearing I can't say that. I can't. I got my Tennessee hat. I mean, I can't say that. But I do. I will be rooting for Alabama in this game.
Yes, I am hardcore rooting for Alabama. All right, Sugar Bowl, Texas and Washington.
Now
Should be
this
a
is the
great
one.
game.
This is the one that I'm looking forward to. This is going to be a great
Is
game.
Xavier Worthy going to play?
I think so, yeah.
This is going to be a very good game. Very good game. I'm going to take Texas, but it's going to be a great game. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this game.
This game's going to be high scoring. This game is all about matchups.
Yeah.
And I think that Texas is probably the more talented team, top to bottom.
Yeah.
But Washington's receivers versus their secondary is a matchup that I think favors Washington heavily. I think Roma Dunze is going to have a day. I like Michael Penix more than I like Quinn Ewers. Not that Quinn Ewers is bad. Ohio State would have made the playoffs if they had Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is very good.
We would
They'd
be
have beat
national
Michigan.
championship contenders if we had Quinn.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers is very
That
good.
moron left and.
Um,
I mean, it's worked out for him.
but
Well, I mean, it would have worked out better if you stayed at Ohio State.
yeah,
You'd beat Michigan.
the big thing, Washington's got one of the best
We lost
lines in the
the
country. The big thing for me is that Washington's demeanor this whole season is we expected to be here from the first game of the season. Michael Penix, did he finish second in Heisman voting? I think he finished second.
he did.
Heisman contender.
Deserved.
Roma Dunze, one of the best receivers in the country this season. Their receivers versus Texas' secondary, I think, is a matchup that heavily favors Washington. Their O-line's one of the best in the country. I think what Kalen DeBoer has done this year is special. I think that they will beat Texas. I'm going to take Washington in this game.
I wouldn't mind that. I don't really care who wins this game.
I just want it to be.
I just want to see a great
Yeah,
game,
I
and
wanna
I
see
think
a
it's
great
going to
game.
deliver.
I think it's probably going to be how like Georgia and Ohio State was last year,
Yeah.
where it comes down to like the wire, and it's just a blow for blow game. But I'm going to give the edge to Washington here. I think Texas. It's going to be a high scoring game. We all know that. But Washington, I think you have Michael Penix, who when he's on is
On.
Like I mean, like you said, second in the Heisman. Like he's had multiple games where he throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and whatever. But I think Roma Dunze is one of the best wide receivers in the country. I think it's just going to be who makes a mistake, and I think Quinn Ewers is more prone to mistakes than Michael Penix is. But Michael Penix has had his games where he has struggled. But I think Michael Penix has been there long enough. He knows what it takes to win big games, and I think he's going to be the a big reason why they win. But I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I think it very well could come down to like a game-winning field goal, game-winning drive by one of them. I think it's going to be a great blow-for-blow game, which is really all I want. But I think Washington's going to take the edge.
I'm regretting my decision now, but I'm going to be different.
Texas could very well. Texas is very good.
This is a 50-50.
Yeah.
Actually, let me look and see if I can find it.
I am going to just be different, though. I would love to see Washington win this game, to be honest with you. I would love to see either of these two teams win the game. Like,
I want the winner of this game to win the national title.
Yeah. I want the national champion to come from this game.
All right, should we do national title predictions?
Yeah.
Texas has a 68.4% chance to win, according to ESPN.
Well, is it by FPI?
I have no idea.
If it's by FPI, they have Ohio State at the number 2 team in the country based on FPI.
The spread is -4 for
Texas is favored by 4.
for Texas. Yes.
It's going to be a close game. It's a 50-50 game. But national championship
You have
pick,
Alabama and Texas, right?
I have Alabama and Texas.
Rematch from the beginning of the year.
I think that'll be a great game. Man. I can't, in good conscience, do this.
I know exactly what you
I mean, Alabama's on fire right now, and they are a good team. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it, Evan. I can't, in good conscience, do it. I got Texas in this game.
Hook 'em.
Texas is gonna hook them twice.
And Texas will officially be back. If they're not already, they will officially.
Sam Ellinger will probably.
Yeah.
I apologize to all Texas fans for making them lose both games.
If they lose the first game, they don't get to play the second game. All right. We both have.
Alabama, Washington.
This game. Oh, this game is hard.
Nick, you know what you got to do. Hey, it's the same thing like me, dude.
No,
I couldn't do it, and neither can you in good conscience. You can't.
I'm aware.
You can't. And honestly, Washington could win.
The thing with this is Alabama's receivers are still not like
Crazy.
they're not crazy.
Yeah.
Like Washington's defense is a little bit. I'm not gonna say subpar, but like
They're a
it's
Pac-12.
questionable at times.
They're a Pac-12
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And if
The best
Alabama,
one, but yeah.
if Alabama had the receivers that Texas does,
Yeah.
I would,
Then it would be scary.
I'd be scared if I was a Washington.
Because Alabama's wide receiver one is what, Burton, right?
Yes, Jermaine Burton.
I don't even know who
He's good. Jermaine Burton's good.
Yeah.
He had 777 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah. I think that this game's being played in what, Arlington? I think it's in Arlington.
It doesn't matter. It's a neutral site.
Last year, the Ohio State-Georgia game was in Atlanta. Yes. That's a neutral site. It's literally in Georgia's backyard.
Well, okay, that was different.
Yeah.
Though. I mean,
Yeah, I believe.
the championship is neither in Washington nor Alabama.
I think that what Kalen DeBoer is doing this year and what he's done in general is special. I think Michael Penix is special. I think that I trust him more than I trust Jalen Milroe. And in the Pac-12's final year of existence, they will crown a national title.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
going to take Washington
Yes,
to beat
sir.
Alabama. I've been saying all year that this Washington team is national title caliber, and you all laughed at me. You're not laughing at me now. This Washington team is very, very, very good. They're so much better than the team that made the playoff in 2016. They've got playmakers at all points of the ball. I trust Michael Penix more than Jalen Milroe. I think in a high-scoring game, they'll have enough offense to get it done.
Yes, sir.
Take Washington.
That would be some sort of story.
It would be some sort of
And that's
story.
what you're going to go with, too, Evan. Don't be different here. You can't do it in good conscience.
I am going to be different.
No, you can't, Evan. No, don't do it.
What fun is it if I have the same thing?
Because screw them.
I am putting all of my biases aside on this podcast.
Oh, I am, too.
You just said in good
You
conscience.
just said in
can't
good
pick the
conscience you
person
cannot
because-
pick Alabama.
Hey, Texas could win. They really
No,
could.
they very well.
They already did.
If
They
Alabama
very-
plays Texas, I would probably pick Alabama to win that game. It's a different Alabama team than when
I
they play
think
Alabama.
I am.
It's also a
I am
different
riding
Texas
the hot hand. You have the best coach, Nick Saban, who's going to get the guys ready. Jalen Milroe is going to be the game MVP. He's going to have a great game. It's going to be a absolute shootout, as it usually will. I think Penix is going to throw for like 300 and like 4 touchdowns. I think Jalen Milroe will have like 270-ish, 2 touchdowns, 2 on the ground. Like, I think it's going to be a great game, but I think Alabama's going to take it. I mean, obviously I don't want Alabama to win, but like, I think it'll be a great. I think if Nick's thing went, that would be awesome because that's just like a storyline ending to.
Oh, I love that.
Like a perfect.
I would love it.
The
Perfect
icing,
send off for the Pac-12.
yeah, perfect
I would
send
love
off for the
that.
Pac-12. Yeah, I'm gonna be different, but I have I actually was going to pick Bama even if you didn't pick.
No, Washington.
But for the sake of our unofficial slogan of being different, I'm going to be different. And I'm going to go with Bama. So we got Texas, Washington, and Bama. Man, you can...
Then no Michigan, no Block M.
Hey,
That's all I care about.
That's all I care about this
We
year.
have Matthew McConaughey.
You do have Matthew McConaughey.
Why are you saying we like you're a Texas fan?
Flips the... This doesn't say Tennessee.
This
says
is not
Texas.
a Tennessee hat. This is a Texas hat. The horns, baby. But I think we can all consensusly agree that the worst game in the playoffs will be Alabama and the scum of the earth.
Yes.
There's only 2 games in the playoffs. So one's the best and what's the worst?
Yeah.
Like in the national championship, like if Bama plays...
Like all 3 games. Like that's the worst one. That is
I
it.
want both teams to lose. Yes.
But
I would still be rooting for Alabama.
I would love it if neither team won this game, but that's not possible.
I want Alabama.
And I would really, 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 really love it even more for one of those teams, a blue and yellow one, to lose profusely. Like, not even, like I hope that they just get stomped on from the. I hope the opening kickoffs returned.
I hope it's worse.
I mean,
I hope it's
I hope
worse
it's
than
like-
Georgia TCU.
I hope it's worse.
Oh,
I hope
it's in the 70s. I hope it's really in the 70s. 70s to 3. I mean, oh my gosh.
70s to 3.
All right. Well.
I hope it gets ugly real quick.
Congratulations. No, I'm just kidding.
No, don't.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for college football, our college football segment. If you guys like us talking about college football, let us know because we want to start doing it more come like next year, start talking about college football a bit more because we're all in college and we all watch college football a lot. So even though some of our teams are good and bad, but yeah, because Nick's like an Ohio State. UC was trash this year, and Liberty was actually good, but we'll see.
I like Ohio State more than UC.
No, I know.
I'm an Ohio State fan, man.
Plus, the NCAA football game will be out, so
will
we will
be
be
out.
talking about
Oh,
that as well.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That will resurrect college football.
12-team format.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for this episode. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.